Welcome to AI World TV, your go-to destination for everything artificial intelligence. Discover the captivating landscape of AI, where advanced technology finds real-life application. Subscribe to AI World TV for webzine articles, reports, podcasts, videos, live events, and latest trends. Hear from top industry leaders and discover how AI is transforming industries and our daily lives.
So I want you to take a second and just imagine your absolute favorite blockbuster movie. Like, you know the exact one I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. Everybody has one.
Right. It's got the massive explosions, the sweeping orchestral score, and, that perfect dramatic pause before the hero delivers that iconic line.
The stuff that just gives you goosebumps in the theater.
Exactly. But now I want you to imagine if that entire world, the script, the sweeping cityscapes, the lighting, maybe even the background actors themselves, what if all of that was just conjured up by a machine learning algorithm?
It feels incredibly jarring to even think about, honestly. I mean, the assumption has always been that a machine just couldn't possibly understand the emotional resonance of a perfect cinematic moment, let alone manufacture it from scratch.
Right, but according to the source material we are pulling from for today's deep dive, that assumption is just completely dead.
Yeah, it really is.
We are looking at this phenomenal piece of journalism from the March 2026 issue of the AI World Journal. It's an article by technology journalist Sydney Armani, and it's titled "The AI Revolution in Hollywood: How Machine Learning is Reshaping Cinema."
And the central thesis Armani presents here is just crucial to grasp because it completely reframes the whole conversation. We are way past the era where artificial intelligence is just doing behind-the-scenes technical grunt work.
Yeah, it's not just compressing video files anymore.
Exactly. Or like auto-syncing audio tracks.
No, it is actively acting as a creative partner. It is fundamentally rewriting the rules of how movies are made, literally from the very first draft of a script all the way to the silver screen. So, okay, let's unpack this.
Good.
Because to really understand how AI is changing the actual art of filmmaking, we first have to, we have to follow the money. We have to look at how it's completely upending the business model of Hollywood.
Right, because art and commerce have always been inextricably linked in cinema.
Right.
And post-production is notoriously this massive black hole for a modern $100 million budget.
Oh, absolutely.
You have massive teams working on visual effects, color grading, and sound mixing for months, sometimes even years.
Yeah.
But Armani's data points to a massive rupture in that pipeline. Industry analysts are seeing AI-assisted production slash those post-production costs by anywhere from 50 to 70%.
Wait, 50 to 70%? That is not just a minor budget trim. I mean, that is a complete paradigm shift.
It's massive. And Armani points out this is happening because generative AI platforms, so tools from OpenAI, Runway AI, Stability AI, they're stepping right into that void.
Right.
They're allowing much smaller teams to create cinematic imagery and build these entire virtual environments using machine learning models.
Okay, let's look at the mechanics of why that lowers the barrier to entry so drastically, though. Because these generative models aren't just, pasting pre-existing images together like a collage.
No, not at all. They are using diffusion models to actually predict and generate pixels based on vast amounts of training data.
Right.
So independent filmmakers who historically wouldn't have even a fraction of the budget needed to rent a massive green screen studio or, hire 100 animators, they can now achieve studio-level visual quality right from a desktop computer.
It totally reminds me of the music industry's home studio revolution, but on steroids.
Oh, that's a good comparison.
Yeah, it's like if every indie musician in their garage suddenly got completely free, unrestricted access to Abbey Road studios. Now, obviously, having Abbey Road doesn't guarantee you're going to write a hit song.
Right, you still need an actual artistic vision.
Exactly. But it means that a lack of capital no longer silences a great idea. You don't need a massive studio backer to show the world what's in your head.
And taking that analogy just a step further, it's not just giving you Abbey Road, it's giving you Abbey Road plus an automated session band that instantly knows how to play literally any instrument you ask for.
Wow, yeah.
The tools that used to require decades of highly specialized technical training stuff, like rotoscoping or complex 3D modeling, they are now accessible via natural language prompts. Armani actually includes a highly relevant quote from director Robert Rodriguez here.
Oh, right, the handheld camera quote.
Yes. He compares this current shift to the invention of the handheld camera. He says it removes the cumbersome machinery that used to stand between the artist and the canvas, freeing them to just go out and create.
So with those financial and technical barriers just entirely obliterated, the obvious question is, how are these tools actually being applied on the ground? Because a cheaper post-production process doesn't mean anything if the core story just falls flat.
Right, the story is still king.
Which means we have to start where every single movie begins, the script.
Yeah, Armani highlights how AI is actively penetrating the writing room. Programs like Scriptbook, Cohesive, and various custom GPT models are being deployed to analyze thousands upon thousands of existing successful screenplays.
And we need to be really clear about how they do this, right? Because they aren't reading like a human does.
No, they use natural language processing and vector embeddings to map out narrative arcs. They mathematically chart the density of dialogue, they pinpoint the exact pacing of emotional beats, and they basically figure out the underlying structural formulas of a successful story.
Okay, wait, I have to jump in here and push back on this a bit because this is the part that makes me incredibly nervous.
Sure.
If an AI is analyzing past successful scripts to tell a writer how to structure their new story, isn't that essentially like using a GPS to write a novel?
What do you mean?
Like, turn left at page 30 for the inciting incident, recalculating route for the third act climax. Don't we risk every single movie taking the exact same, completely predictable route? I mean, we already complain that blockbuster cinema is way too formulaic.
That is a very common fear.
Yeah.
And looking at the surface level of the tech, it's a completely valid one. But Armani's interviews with top-tier professionals actually reveal a much more nuanced application.
Okay, color me intrigued.
The AI isn't writing the final draft. It is being used to accelerate the brainstorming phase and to rapidly pressure test narrative directions. It's not an algorithmic map that writers blindly follow.
Right.
Screenwriter David S. Goyer provides a fantastic framework for this in the article. He doesn't see AI as a replacement for his voice. He describes it as having a, quote, research assistant who has read every screenplay ever written.
Oh, so you can just ask it, like, give me 10 variations of a betrayal scene in a sci-fi setting, and it just instantly retrieves the structural DNA of those scenes for you to play with.
Precisely.
Hmm.
It can instantly recall structures, it can suggest pacing adjustments based on historical data, or it can even flag if a subplot is mathematically taking up too much real estate compared to standard genre conventions.
Interesting.
The AI provides the structural encyclopedia, essentially. But the soul, the actual thematic resonance of the narrative, that still requires a human driver.
Okay, I can see the utility in that. The human brings the soul, the AI brings the data.
Yeah.
But a perfect AI-assisted script is completely useless if you still have to spend $50 million building a physical spaceship to shoot it in, which is where the technology jumps from the page to the soundstage. And honestly, the evolution of virtual sets discussed in this piece is just staggering.
It really is. We've gone from building massive physical structures out of wood and paint to green screens, and now to something else entirely.
Yeah, Armani points to the groundwork laid by the show The Mandalorian using the volume technology, those massive LED walls projecting virtual environments.
Right, which was revolutionary at the time.
But the article notes that was just the appetizer. Armani mentions the recent Disney series Ahsoka as the massive evolutionary leap. They used NVIDIA's Omniverse and Unreal Engine's MetaHuman creator.
And it's vital to understand the difference here. We aren't just projecting a static, pre-rendered video file onto a screen behind the actors anymore.
No, these are photorealistic, real-time, interactive worlds. Like, a director can look at a completely digital alien landscape and say, can we move that mountain a little to the left? And the AI generates the new geometry instantly.
And think about the actual mechanism making that possible. The neural rendering engines are calculating the physics of light on the fly.
It's wild.
If you move that digital mountain, the AI recalculates how the light from two digital suns would bounce off the digital snow, scatter through the digital atmosphere, and physically hit the real human actors standing on the stage in real time. It completely eradicates the line between physical production and visual effects.
Worlds need people, though. And this is where the deep dive gets into some very thorny territory.
Very thorny.
Because it's one thing to use an AI to calculate light bouncing off a virtual mountain in the background. Things get infinitely more complicated and controversial when the AI starts building and casting the actual people in the foreground.
We are crossing the frontier of digital characters and synthetic performances. Armani profiles companies like Metaphysic and Respeecher, which are creating astonishingly convincing digital replicas of actors.
Yeah.
And they aren't just mapping a face onto a 3D model anymore. They are using machine learning to capture the exact micro-expressions, the subtle muscle twitches around the eyes, the precise vocal cadence of a human performance.
And it doesn't stop at replicating actors who already have the job. AI is fundamentally changing how movies are cast in the first place. Armani details these AI casting agents that use machine learning to scour global databases. But how are they actually doing this? How does an algorithm know who would make a good villain?
It basically comes down to pattern recognition and sentiment analysis. The AI analyzes an actor's past performances frame by frame. It catalogs their specific acting style, their vocal range, their facial mobility. Then, it cross-references that with massive amounts of audience sentiment data, literally how audiences physically and emotionally reacted to that actor in previous roles, to find the absolute perfect match for the psychological profile of a character in the new script.
It's algorithmic talent discovery. It's like a master sommelier, but instead of wine, they are matching the exact chemical flavor profile of an actor's past microexpressions to the emotional needs of a script.
That's a great way to visualize it.
Yeah.
And once that perfectly matched talent is captured on camera, the AI takes over yet again in the edit bay. Armani highlights tools like Adobe's Sensei AI, Blackmagic's DaVinci Neural Engine, and Avid's PhraseFind.
See, here's where it gets really interesting to me. The article mentions these tools can automatically edit raw footage based on emotional cues and pacing. I picture it like a really good club DJ.
A DJ?
Yeah, because a great DJ...
You are listening to the AI World Podcast, your trusted source for the latest innovations, insights, and trends in artificial intelligence, blockchain, fintech, and decentralized technologies. Each episode features expert interviews, engaging discussions, and in-depth analysis of how AI transforms industries worldwide. Stay ahead of the curve with the latest articles and exclusive reports from the AI World Journal, covering everything from emerging technologies to industry breakthroughs. For more news, global events, and access to AI World Society circle gatherings, visit us at aiworld.tv. Don't forget to subscribe to stay informed, stay connected, and be part of the AI revolution with AI World Lounge. Thank you for listening.
Doesn't just play songs, right? They read the vibe of the room, they monitor the energy, and they pick the exact right track to keep the crowd moving. Imagine an AI doing that, but with visual transitions and raw footage.
So I'm going to challenge that DJ metaphor just a little bit, because it implies the AI is actually feeling the energy of a live audience.
Fair point.
The reality of how something like the DaVinci Neural Engine works is entirely data-driven, not atmospheric. It uses computer vision to analyze hours of raw footage, tracking the actor's eye lines, identifying micro-expressions of tension or sadness, and mapping the audio frequencies of their dialogue.
Right.
It finds the mathematical peak of an actor's performance and automatically suggests the perfect cut to the reaction shot. It optimizes the cut, certainly, but it's reacting to recorded pixels, not a live room. It risks losing the spontaneous, slightly imperfect human choices that sometimes make an edit truly brilliant.
That distinction makes total sense. It's finding the mathematical peak of emotion, not necessarily the most human one. And when you connect all of this AI writing scripts, generating sets, replicating actors, casting roles, and editing scenes, you can instantly see why Armani spends so much time on the massive earthquake this caused in the industry. The core tension facing Hollywood right now is how to balance this relentless technological innovation with the protection of human creativity and labor.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it brings up massive existential questions that the industry was frankly not prepared for. Who owns a digital likeness?
Right.
If an AI analyzes your past performances to generate a new one, are you acting or is the algorithm acting? What is the nature of consent when an AI can make your digital replica say or do things you never actually recorded?
Armani's article grounds this tension in the 2023 Hollywood strikes. Both SAG-AFTRA, the Actors Union, and the WGA, the Writers Union, practically brought the industry to a standstill.
I really did.
They demanded highly specific contractual protections against AI replacement. Duncan Crabtree Ireland, the chief negotiator for SAG-AFTRA, is quoted in the text, and his stance is just crystal clear. He says, "We're not against technology. We're against the use of technology to devalue human creativity and labor."
That quote perfectly encapsulates the structural struggle Armani is documenting. The technology's power is undeniable, But if studio executives utilize it simply as a loophole to bypass paying artists for their craft, it hollows out the very foundation of the industry.
Exactly.
The ongoing goal for the guilds is to ensure AI remains a sophisticated tool wielded by the artist, rather than an automated system that replaces the artist entirely.
So, with the reality of that massive labor tension established, how are current industry heavyweights, the people actually directing the blockbusters today, adapting to this new landscape rather than just fighting a rising tide? Because, I mean, the genie is clearly out of the bottle, and you can't uninvent this technology.
We are seeing a very deliberate push toward integration, focusing on efficiency rather than replacement. Armani points to Ben Affleck as a prime example of this adaptation.
Okay, how so?
He has been actively championing AI-assisted film technology, but his application is highly specific. He uses AI to handle the grueling, deeply technical math of filmmaking.
You mean things like fixing visual continuity errors, enhancing background details, or matching the lighting across different shots that were filmed days apart?
Exactly that.
Huh.
Affleck's stated philosophy is that if the machine handles the tedious technical heavy lifting, the human professionals on set are freed up. They have more time and mental bandwidth to focus entirely on the emotional nuance of the scene, the storytelling, and the artistic expression that the machine just can't replicate.
It's about letting machines be machines so humans have the time to be more human.
Very well put.
And Armani makes a brilliant pivot here, showing that this adaptation isn't just a Hollywood phenomenon. We're seeing international cinema embrace these mechanisms in totally unique ways, too.
The global adoption rates are fascinating because they reflect totally different industry priorities. In India, for example, Bollywood producers are heavily utilizing machine learning to predict box office success.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they are feeding script elements and casting choices into predictive models to optimize their massive marketing strategies before a single frame is even shot.
And in China, studios have developed AI systems that use procedural generation, trained on vast historical archives, to automatically create incredibly intricate, historically accurate period costumes and architectural elements for their massive epics.
Right.
It builds entire dynasties in the background while the director focuses on the foreground.
Meanwhile, in Europe, Armani notes that art house directors are treating AI almost like a surrealist collaborator. They are feeding generative models bizarre, abstract prompts just to see what kind of unexpected visual metaphors or strange narrative connections the machine learning model spits back out. They are intentionally misusing the tool to generate avant-garde art.
That global perspective is fascinating, but it leads me to a major concern. So what does this all mean for you, the listener, the person actually watching these movies?
It's a great question.
If the most powerful foundational AI models are being trained primarily on massive Hollywood blockbusters and Western storytelling conventions, aren't we baking a bias into the machine? Like, if everyone uses the same tool trained on the same data, don't we risk slowly replacing local, authentic cinematic flavors with a globally homogenized, universally acceptable algorithm, sort of like a global fast food recipe for movies?
This raises an important question, and it is perhaps the most significant cultural implication Armani raises in the entire piece.
Right.
An AI system is only as diverse and only as creative as the specific data set it was trained on.
Right.
If an AI is exclusively fed Western three-act storytelling tropes, it will only ever output Western three-act storytelling structures. The fear of cultural homogenization is very real, and it is entirely driven by data bias.
Which is why Armani notes that film schools are entirely revamping their curriculums right now. They are teaching what is being called AI literacy.
They absolutely have to. The realization sweeping through the academic side of the industry is that the next generation of directors won't just be pointing cameras at actors. They're going to be designing, curating, and training the intelligent systems themselves.
Wow.
They need to understand how to curate diverse training data sets to preserve distinct cultural voices. Otherwise, the machine will just average everything out into a bland global monoculture.
The director as a data scientist, it really highlights why industry leaders like producer Kathleen Kennedy are pushing so hard for proactive guardrails.
Yeah, Armani mentions her calling for ethics committees and regulatory frameworks be established immediately.
As she points out, the generative technology is evolving at a pace that far exceeds our current legal and ethical frameworks. She's advocating for strict standards of transparency. If a movie's core concept is generated by an AI or an actor's voice is a digital clone, the audience deserves to know that, and the original creators whose data trained the model deserve attribution.
It really just comes down to building a sustainable ecosystem. The industry needs frameworks where technological innovation can thrive without cannibalizing the human element that makes the art form worthwhile in the first place.
So to bring this massive topic together, I think the takeaway is that the magic of cinema isn't dying, despite all the panic. It is just evolving the same way it did when we went from silent films to talkies, or from practical effects to CGI. The core tools are shifting from physical celluloid and wood to neural networks and generative models. The filmmaker of tomorrow is this fascinating hybrid part traditional artist, part software engineer, part data curator. They will have infinite digital sandboxes at their fingertips, but they will still be the ones who have to decide what kind of sandcastle to build.
Building on that look into the future, Armani's article mentioned something briefly near the end that warrants a much deeper look. And this is my final thought for you to ponder as we wrap up.
Okay, I'm listening.
The piece notes the early emergence of interactive films that can adapt to viewer preferences in real time. Imagine a near future where AI doesn't just make the movie, it creates a personalized content stream exclusively for you.
Wait, like dynamically changing as I watch it?
Yes. Imagine the AI is monitoring your emotional biofeedback as you watch, maybe through your smartwatch monitoring your heart rate or skin conductivity.
Yeah.
It uses that data to alter the movie's pacing, its tone, or even its ending based on how you are reacting in that exact second. If the algorithm senses your attention is waning, it instantly generates an action sequence. If it reads that you are stressed, it slows the narrative down into a quiet character drama.
That is wild. It's the ultimate hyper-personalized entertainment experience.
It is. But if we achieve that, do we lose the shared cultural experience of cinema? If you and your friends go to the theater or sit on the couch and watch the quote-unquote exact same movie, but the AI customizes it so profoundly based on your individual biometrics that you all experience a fundamentally different film. What happens to the water cooler conversation the next day?
Oh, that's such a good point.
If art becomes perfectly seamlessly tailored to the individual, do we lose the communal bond of experiencing the exact same story together?
That is a brilliant and honestly slightly terrifying question. It totally reshapes what we think of as a mass audience. Well, as you mull over the idea of a biometric movie theater, I want to invite you to go back to that image from the start of our deep dive. Picture your favorite blockbuster movie, the explosions, the sweeping score. Now imagine sitting in that dark theater watching a masterpiece unfold, knowing that a machine helped calculate the physics of the light and map the structure of the script, but a human heart still decided why the story mattered. It's a brave new world for Hollywood, and we are just buying our tickets. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the source material. Keep questioning the media you consume, keep looking behind the curtain, and we will see you next time.
The future of artificial intelligence is unfolding, and it's happening at AI World Week, the flagship global event for innovation, collaboration, and transformation. This flagship global AI event is designed to connect visionary leaders, trailblazing entrepreneurs, and influential thinkers to explore the endless possibilities of AI. Experience groundbreaking technology that redefines industries and inspires progress. Join thought-provoking discussions on ethical AI, digital equity, and the transformative role of technology in our world. Build meaningful connections that catalyze innovation and drive impact. AI World Week is powered by AI World Society, a global movement dedicated to advancing AI responsibly and ensuring it serves humanity. Together, we're shaping a smarter, more inclusive, and equitable future. Continue your journey beyond the event with the AI World Journal, offering expert insights, in-depth analysis, and the latest trends shaping the AI landscape. This is your opportunity to lead, to innovate, and to transform the world with AI. AI World Week. We invite you to join us and embrace the AI revolution.